Welcome back to another episode of Word on the Street.
We've been away for a couple of weeks, but we have some national and local arts updates.
That's right. This week we'll be giving you a rundown of blockbuster movies currently in the theaters, along with those releasing on Christmas.
Grace and I also attended the national tour of Dear Evan Hanson on Sunday at Hampshire Auditorium, and we'll be sharing our opinions and thoughts about the production later on.
But for now, sit back, relax,
and here's the Word on the Street.
All right, Hannah, I don't know about you, but I saw Wicked over break, and I absolutely loved it.
You bet I saw it. As I said last show, this has a very special place in my heart. I absolutely loved this movie. I sat literally in the theater crying the entire time. I was so in love with it.
Yeah, I thought it was so good. It really exceeded my expectations. I feel like sometimes movie musicals can be really good, but sometimes there's some things missing or they get a little boring.
Yeah,
and I loved it. I couldn't believe it was almost 3 hours. It did not seem like 3 hours.
I agree, especially of late. I feel like movie musicals just haven't been that good. I feel like they're just trying to whip them out because they are supposed to do very well in the box office, but the last few I've seen, Mean Girls, it just didn't do it justice. And speaking of box office, Wicked so far has made $400 million globally.
Yeah, it's really impressive. It's one of the top grossing movie musicals of all time now, which I'm honestly not surprised. Everyone saw this movie. I saw it 3 times so far. I do want to see it again. It is just that good. I could see it a million times and never get tired of it, but I honestly think the last really good movie musical I saw was The Greatest Showman. Now that I think about it.
And they're also going to be turning that into a stage adaptation, so a little bit of a reverse of staged movie. So I really like that they're moving it to the stage. But I think Wicked was so successful because of their marketing. I saw Wicked marketing trailers months and months and months in advance. And I remember that, the thought of this movie coming out or the rumors of it a year ago.
Yeah.
So this has been in the works, and I think especially the biggest thing are the stars they brought in, names like Ariana Grande. Her fan base is gonna come, and people that just know her from her Broadway days, and other actors, Cynthia Erivo, Jonathan Bailey, Ethan Slater, all these big names, and I'm forgetting some, but those 4 specifically came straight from Broadway, which I think is something that has been lacking in recent movie musical adaptations. Are musical theater actors. All these people had originated roles on Broadway and were very successful there.
Absolutely.
But speaking of musicals, we saw Dear Evan Hanson.
Yes, we did. It was absolutely fantastic. We saw it, the national tour this weekend at Hampshire Auditorium, matinee show, and I had a great time.
It was amazing, and I knew the story, but I've never actually seen it. I knew the music, but I liked going in not knowing, so I had to be more interested and more engaged.
Yeah.
But we got to see it, and I did absolutely love it. And Dear Evan Hanson came to the Broadway stage in 2016 and closed in 2022. But however, this show has won 6 Tonys, including Best Musical and Best Actor for Ben Platt, who is one of my personal musical theater actors.
Yeah, me too. Dear Evan Hanson tells the story of a high school student struggling with social anxiety who finds himself in the middle of a tragic suicide by one of his classmates. And honestly, this is a very different kind of musical. I remember when it came out, it was all the rage. Mm-hmm. Everyone wanted to go see it. I never saw it on the Broadway stage. Right. I did, speaking of movie musicals, I did see the movie of this story, and honestly, I was very disappointed. I did not think it was anything too exciting. It was very, very vanilla, and it just didn't have a whole lot going for it. But the play, when we saw, I was so impressed, and I just thought, I loved everything. It wasn't a big singing, dancing type, or a big dance number type show. It was just so many great songs and a great story, and I cried 3 times. I loved it.
Oh my God. And I think that when we think of Broadway, we do think of big and flashy and dance and these big costumes, but it doesn't have to be like that because Dear Evan Hanson is so successful, and there's barely any dancing. It's more just choreographed movements. And I think the story is just being told by the interactions and through the music, because the vocals were extremely impressive. And it's just it's a very unique story, I would say, about, Dear Evan Hanson isn't the most likable character. He kind of does a terrible thing because he feels, he's kind of lost in the world. And I think it is a tale of adolescence, of you're trying to find yourself, trying to find where you fit in, and you do make mistakes along the way, big ones and littler ones as well.
Yeah, I would definitely say that it's not a lighthearted story by any means, but I got something out of it, and I still enjoyed it. I learned something. It was very thought-provoking, and it kind of makes me want to read the book and see what that's all about too. One thing I will say about it was I think one place where they could have maybe improved would be the set and the stage presence. It was very minimal, and when they did have something, I honestly thought it was subpar. I thought it was very lacking, especially, you know, some of the things I thought maybe they could have done a better job, but needless to say, it's a traveling show. It happens, you know, they got to be simplistic, and I know how much work goes into that as well.
I agree. And then I thought this was just a little bit confusing with, like, if it was your first time seeing it, just like the projections out on screen, like you don't really know what it's about, and like at times the actors were looking at them and I'm like, is this supposed to be in our imagination? Is this supposed to be like the greater society, or why are they looking at it now? So like that kind of broke the fourth wall for me, is like, why are they looking at it when it's supposed to be like a background? So that kind of like threw me off a little bit, and I don't know if that was like originally how it was, or if this was just this adaptation, but I know based on the playbill that this was the original director and choreographer who went along and did the traveling show. And I mean, I thought the casting was perfect.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
really impressive. And I was sitting there the whole time, like judging the vocals and like thinking about the technique, but everything was great. The acting was amazing. And it made me really happy looking through the playbill and the biographies that some of these actors, this was their professional debut. Like some of them were fresh out of college. I know 2 of the understudies had just graduated from BFA programs, and this was their first job out, and that is just incredibly impressive. Because, you know, as actors, especially in theater programs across the country, we're constantly told this is kind of unachievable. It's like the stigma of like your family and your friends, like, oh, you're not gonna make it, you don't have the support, and like starving artists, whatnot. But it is achievable because these students came from programs that I honestly haven't really heard of, versus like a program that like NYU and U Michigan, but like they are there in acting. And the understudy for Dear Evan Hanson was who went on for our show, and he was pretty fresh as well out of college. Like this, it wasn't like he wasn't as trained as some of like the other cast members. For sure,
it was a great opportunity for those who are new, and I thought it was great. I thought all the cast members did a great job, and I would have seen it again. I loved it. I thought it was great. Speaking of the actors, DITV's Madison Johnson got the opportunity to speak to some of the cast members in Dear Evan Hanson this past weekend. Let's take a look.
Thanks, guys. I was fortunate to be able to interview some of the actors as well as Hancher staff and crew to learn more about putting together a national tour. When talking with programming director Aaron Greenwald, he explained what goes into selecting the shows for the Broadway series and why Dear Evan Hanson was chosen in particular.
You know, it's a story, it's not really about our modern world, but it's sort of about the moment in our modern world where social media becomes really dangerous, and especially dangerous in the lives of young people. I think also, you know, Evan Hanson is really the story of a young person who is mostly able to engage with the world online. I think that's only gotten worse since the pandemic. And so I think the message of Evan Hanson, which is like, you know, be fully yourself in the sun, you know, is I think that really resonates in this moment where, you know, we have a lot of kids here at Iowa who had to take, you know, who essentially weren't in a classroom, weren't around other kids for a year or a year and a half during the pandemic.
I was also able to speak with production manager Mariana Ball, who gave insight into the setup that allows the show to come to life.
The day before load-in, we'll do a house strip. That's where we take all of our soft goods, our electrics, everything off the pipes so that it's empty and ready for the show to come in. We take down our line arrays so their line arrays have space to go up. We clear the front of house mix position for the soundboard to go. We just make sure everything is ready for them. Day of show comes, trucks roll in. We've got a crew of somewhere between 60 and 75 people ready to go. Their show crew rolls off the bus. We roll up those doors and we start unloading cases. So we've got cases with lighting instruments. We've got cases with set pieces. We've got line arrays on wheels. So we'll spend the first 7 to 8 hours of the day building a show. That means we're hanging lights, we're hanging speakers, we're hanging set pieces, we're lagging in floor, we're lagging in set pieces, we're presetting props, we're making sure everything's all good to go, we're focusing projectors.
When speaking with the actors, I got to learn more about the things they love about their characters.
Zoe's a really interesting one because she spends kind of the first half of the musical being pretty like angsty and upset and confused and just like wrestling with her emotions. My favorite scene and song is the scene going into Only Us, the love duet with Evan. I think it's just, you know, there's a little bit of bittersweetness because the audience knows they're like, we want to just like be so bought into it. But for me, as the character and just getting to like enjoy that moment, I just think it's a wonderful scene.
I have a lot of moments in the show, specifically in the first act, that are very dramatic, very heavy. Larry's a character that is in so many ways closed off from these connections to these people, and for a very good reason. And he needs to find his way back to connection. And my favorite moment in the show is in the second act when he's got this lovely scene with Evan where it does feel like one of the last like moments where we're up and we're happy, but he gets to be a dad again.
It was a joy being able to speak with all these people and learn so much about what goes into a national tour. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Madison, for that awesome insight. And Hannah, switching gears just a little bit, I know that my family really looks forward to the movies that are coming out on Christmas Day and just in December in general. So I think some of the biggest movies coming out this month are actually releasing on Christmas Day this year, which is really impressive. And the biggest movie, in my opinion, is The Complete Unknown, which is a film featuring the life of Bob Dylan.
Timothée Chalamet will also be starring in this, and I'm super excited to see it. I just feel like he will do an amazing job with the role of Bob Dylan. Like, that's a pretty big deal to be a bio, like playing the role of someone who lived. That's a big deal.
And Bob Dylan's kind of an interesting guy, so I think that's not really an easy person to impersonate. So I'm kind of interested just to see where he goes with it. But from the trailers, it looks really good, so I'm super excited.
Awesome, yeah.
Another big one coming out on Christmas Day is Baby Girl starring Nicole Kidman.
I've seen this movie all over social media. It's about a CEO of a company who begins to have an affair with an intern, jeopardizing her career and marriage. And I think this is interesting because I feel like with these types of stories and movies, I feel like it's almost the opposite with gender-wise. It's usually a male CEO and a female intern, and I kind of think this is interesting. Just flip the script a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't really strike me as a super Christmas Day kind of movie, so I think it's a little interesting that it's coming out on December 25th. But it still might be worth checking out. She's great. Like I feel like everything she's in is always really good. This is just kind of a little bit different, but I've seen it blow up, so I think people are really excited to see it.
I agree. And The Fire Inside is also releasing on Christmas Day.
That's right. It focuses on the story of a young girl who was the first female to win a gold medal in boxing at the Olympics. It so far has stellar reviews, and I know I'm excited to see it and learn a little bit more about the story it has to tell.
That's super exciting. And Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is also going to be coming out, but this is December 20th, so just a little bit before Christmas. But I know the first movies did pretty well, and I remember seeing the trailer when I was watching Wicked, and I was kind of interested. I'm like, I thought Sonic is like this, video game character. Now he's like a superhero? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I haven't seen the first two, but clearly they've done pretty well because they're making a third. So it's got to be pretty good. Maybe something worth checking out. We'll have to go see.
Yeah, awesome.
And the Golden Globe Awards are only a few weeks away, and this year's host was a surprise for many past viewers.
Comedian Nikki Glaser will be hosting the awards. Her career has highlights including the Netflix stand-up show, The Roast of Tom Brady. She has hosted a couple shows in the past, but this will be her first time hosting an award show like this. And I just have to say the Golden Globes kind of owe this to women performers right now because of the monstrosity of last year. I was personally offended, and I know a lot of females around the country and the performers sitting there, you could obviously tell we're upset, of last year's host. We remember Joe Coy in his opening misogynistic monologue, which destroyed everything that Barbie had worked for. basically just dumbing her down to a doll with big boobs. So that was really disappointing to just see that on my TV when I was so excited with Barbie Summer.
Yeah, I kind of was just, honestly, it was just awkward. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It was not good. It was awkward. Everyone in the audience was just not having it. You could tell they were uncomfortable, and that's always like the worst, just watching it. You get secondhand embarrassment almost, because it's like just so uncomfortable to watch. But this year's a turnaround, and I think that's what they're really trying to do, so I'm kind of hoping that that's what we're gonna go for.
And I'm excited because I feel like with that monologue, it kind of summed up why, like, a lot of things for me is like a lot of jokes are told at the expense of women a lot of the times, and that was kind of a perfect example. So I'm excited to see a female comedian with saying what she's gonna say, and like we'll see if she says jokes at the expense of men or if she can be funny without making fun of the opposite gender, because I feel like a lot of times women are like, oh, they're not funny, female comedians not that funny, but then on the opposite side we have jokes just aimed at women. So I'm just excited to see what they're gonna do differently this year.
Yeah, I am too. And the Golden Globes will air on January 5th of 2025, and we will be breaking down the winners and surprising moments after. But for now, let's discuss some of the current nominations.
For Best Motion Drama Picture, we have The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nickel Boys, and September 5th.
This may be a hot take, Hannah, but honestly, I am not a fan of the Dune movies, so I was really surprised when I saw that that the second one was nominated. Personally, I'm rooting for A Complete Unknown, but it could really be anyone's game.
I agree. I feel like Dune is going to be kind of like a favorite for the Golden Globes, just from like just the talk, but I think that there's a lot more out there than just Dune, and I feel Dune 2, and I feel like there's a lot more competition there.
For sure, for sure. And the nominations for Best Movie Musical or Comedy are Anora, Challengers, Amelia Perez, Of Real Pain, The Substance, and of course, Wicked.
Now, if Wicked does not win this, I'm going to lose it, because this is already broken records. It was completely amazing, and I just honestly think that they shouldn't group musical and comedy together. I think it should be kind of separate. I get it because there aren't a lot of musicals that come out, but I think that Wicked deserves this one.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for all the others in the category, because I think I have an idea of how the award's gonna go, but I guess we'll just kind of have to see. It could be anyone's game.
But for Best Performance by a Female Actor in both a drama and comedy, we have quite a list of names. So for drama, we have Kate Winslet, Nicole Kidman, Angelina Jolie, Pamela Anderson, Tilda Swinton, and Fernanda Torres are all nominated for dramas. And for comedies, we have Amy Adams, Cynthia Erivo, Carla Gaskin, Mikey Madison, Demi Moore, and Zendaya.
Adrian Brody, Coleman Domingo, Daniel Craig, Ralph Fiennes, Sebastian Stan, and Timothée Chalamet are all in the drama category for male actor. And for male actor in a comedy or a musical, we have Gabriel LaBelle, Glenn Powell, Hugh Grant, Jesse Eisenberg, Jesse Plemons, and again, Sebastian Stan. For supporting female actress in any motion picture, we have Ariana Grande, Felicity Jones, Isabella Rossellini, Margaret Qualley, Selena Gomez, Zoe Saldana. And supporting male actors, we have Denzel Washington, Edward Norton, Guy Pearce, Jeremy Strong, Kieran Culkin, and Yura Borisov.
And that's interesting to me that they combine categories for supporting. I know that other award shows do this, but I just feel like it takes opportunities away from actors, who have had who have done work, because they do it for leading, but why not supporting? I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I feel like it's kind of randomized, and at first maybe there weren't enough, but now that I think about it, they could easily make enough nominations. So it's almost like if it's a time thing for the show. I don't know, but I know that they have done this in the past, so kind of just a reoccurring pattern.
Mm-hmm. And for Best Animated Motion Picture, the nominees are Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Moana 2, The Wild Robot, and Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. And the list goes on for director, original score, song, and so forth.
Box office achievement is always a fun one because these are the most watched and talked about movies of the year. And the nominees this year are Alien Romulus, Beetlejuice, Deadpool and Wolverine, Gladiator 2, Inside Out 2, The Wild Robot, Twisters, and of course, Wicked.
Yeah, and I think this is honestly the best award because this is mostly based on fans and based on box office, obviously based on like who goes to see it. So I really like this versus like the Academy big heads that get to just make decisions and vote on it. So I really appreciate this category and really like calling out like who was the favorite. And some of these are only nominated for this category, which is just interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like this award, like the movies are for the people, and this award is honestly one that if I were in a movie, this is the one I'd want to win because it shows that you're the people's choice.
And the nominations for TV are almost reflective of what we saw at the Emmys, so we'll cover that later when we get to the results. But now we're going to get into our personal predictions.
That's right, Hannah and I thought that'd be fun to share our own predictions for the 2025 Golden Globes. Let's take a look. For my predictions for Best Drama, I think A Complete Unknown is most likely to win. And for Best Comedy and Musical, of course Wicked, because everyone's talking about it. I would be so surprised if this one did not win. For Best Animated Picture, Moana 2 I think is most likely going to take the win, but Inside Out 2 was also great as well. And for Box Office Achievement, although all those movies were great, I do think Wicked will win because I think it was the most popular of the year. Needless to say, I did really enjoy all those other movies. I also really enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine. I know they weren't really nominated for a whole lot either, but that was another great one. But yes, Wicked, I think, will take the win. For Best Lead Actress in a Drama, I think Kate Winslet will win this one. She played a photographer in the 1900s in a movie called Lee. She kind of came out of nowhere, but I think she has a real shot here. And for Best Lead Actor in a Drama, I have to say Timothée Chalamet will take the win for playing Bob Dylan in the upcoming movie A Complete Unknown. And for Best Lead Actress in a Musical or Comedy, I have to say Cynthia Erivo. I was just such a fan of her in Wicked. I thought she was great. And for Best Lead Actor in a Musical or Comedy, I have to say Hugh Grant because I, for one, loved Heretic, and I really appreciated when the directors got to come to Iowa, and I really liked talking to them, and I think Hugh Grant was just a great choice. And for Best Supporting Actress, obviously Ariana Grande kind of stole the show as Glinda in Wicked, so I would have to vote for her. I thought she was absolutely hilarious. For Best Supporting Actor, Denzel Washington in Gladiator 2. For Best TV Series for the Drama, I'd say Shogun is most likely to win just based off of the Emmys. They completely swept. And for Best TV Series in a Comedy, as much as I absolutely love The Bear, I have to say Nobody Wants This was so funny, and I'm just so excited to see it nominated. I think it's going to win, only because I think I would consider it a little more of a comedy than I would The Bear comedy, so I think that it kind of deserves this title.
And for my predictions for Best Drama, I'm going to say The Nickel Boys. I'm not extremely confident that it will win, but I thought that the book was absolutely incredible, and I'm just really excited I want to see this in theaters, and I'm really excited to see the twist at the end and how they portray that. It was a fantastic book, and I think a great story to tell. For Best Musical and Comedy, obviously Wicked. It was outstanding, amazing, incredible, no notes. For Best Animated, I think Inside Out 2, just because I loved the story it portrayed of growing up and going through puberty and experiencing certain emotions for the first time and conflicting feelings and having multiple feelings at once. I thought it summed it up great, and I think that this is the perfect movie to show your kid when they're going through puberty to explain what's going on in their head, honestly. And then for Box Office Achievement, again, obviously Wicked, no notes, it was perfect. And for Best Lead Actress in a Drama, I'm going to go with Angelina Jolie for Maria. I think, again, a biopic always gets me when you're able to play this character that's of someone that's living. I think it's the most impressive thing. And I've never seen her in anything where she's been bad, so I'm just going to have to go with Angelina Jolie. For Best Lead Actor in a Drama, I'm going to agree and go with Timothée Chalamet. I think he's on the up. He's been in quite a few things recently. And again, he's never really disappointed me. And for Best Lead Actress for a Musical and Comedy, of course, Cynthia Erivo. She's phenomenal. I can't wait to see part 2 for Wicked because that is all about Elphaba and her story, and I can't wait to see her transformation and where she takes it. And then for Best Lead Actor in a Musical or Comedy, I'm also going to agree with Hugh Grant just because of the eeriness that Heretic had with this movie. I think he just portrayed it amazingly. But he also had comedic moments, and I think it also played into the creepiness of it. Like, this guy is kind of freaky, but yet here he is with his comedic, side. He did a great job. And for Best Supporting Actress, I'm going to agree again and go with Ariana Grande. I feel like she's been the focus of Wicked, and it was kind of all on her to see if she could pull it off. And I think people forget that she has done acting her entire life, that it wasn't just Wicked that she came out of the grapevine. She's been doing this since she was literally a kid. So I was super impressed, and I agree. She stole the show for part 1 of Wicked. She was incredible. For Best Supporting Actor, I'm going to agree again with Denzel Washington. I have never been disappointed with him as well. And Gladiator 2 was very highly anticipated, and he's just a big name, and I just think that he'll just be picked because he's Denzel Washington. He did great as well, but the name comes along with it. And Best TV Series for Drama, again, I'm going to agree and go with Shogun. It kind of was a surprise sweep at the Emmys, but it did great, so I'm going to agree that the Golden Globes will pick Shogun as well. And for Best TV Series, I am going to say The Bear because I just really liked it. I mean, who doesn't love Jeremy Allen White? I think he plays this role great. Obviously, it's not just him, but the show itself, I love the story. While it's not much of a comedy, it's in the category, and I think it has a chance of winning. One thing that's surprising to me are some of the snubs that kind of came out. I was really upset that Jonathan Bailey from Wicked was not nominated for supporting male for Fiyero. I thought he was amazing, so charming, so in it the entire time, and I loved hearing and seeing the videos of how they described his audition. It was just hilarious. He did it backstage because he was in a musical at the time and recorded it at when they were calling places, and he was literally sitting and apparently they said it was super unprofessional, but he was easily the best one and most interesting. And for the director as well, I don't understand how they could not have nominated Jonathan Chu from Wicked as a director for Best Director.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. I think they kind of assume Wicked is just going to sweep. And I think that in and of itself is a win for everyone. Yes, I think the director, that honestly really surprised me. I don't know what happened. As far as Jonathan Bailey goes, he's so adorable. I adored him in Wicked. I did think he was kind of an interesting choice because personally, I think he looked a lot older than the rest of them, especially to play a student. It was a little weird, but I think it was really smart because Bridgerton is huge right now, and he's so good in that, and he kind of came out of the woodworks, but I think it worked in his favor. And this role in Wicked compared to in Bridgerton is like night and day, and I think it was just really impressive. I do feel sorry for him because I really think he could have taken home the win, but either way, Wicked winning best musical or top box office, that's a win for everyone, and I think that's just something to remember along the way.
Yeah, agreed. And something that was surprising was the category that Heretic was in. It's not a comedy, it's a psychological thriller / horror movie, so that was interesting that they put it in the comedy category. I just didn't get that.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if they just kind of draw them and place them somewhere. Some of them don't make a whole lot of sense, but Hugh Grant was funny in it, and I think that had something to do with it. But yeah, and Heretic itself wasn't nominated as a film in just his performance, so I think maybe that's what they were going off of. But yeah, interesting, weird choices. Yeah. Personally, so excited to see the outcomes, excited for the host. This is a really, really great time of the year for the entertainment industry, so I'm just super pumped.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it at home definitely over break, and I'll probably be yelling at my TV based on the outcomes. But I'm not a big head honcho there, so I guess I can't pick everything, but I really hope that my predictions are right.
Yeah, me too. We'll have to come back and see.
We will.
For now, thank you so much for joining us again on Word on the Street.
We are here every other week to give you your local and national entertainment news updates.
I'm Grace Lathrop.
And I'm Hannah Lipski, and we'll see you next time on Word on the Street.